Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm back. I just want to make a very short video because I really want to share you something with you that I have been working, to be honest, in the last years. And it's a very simple thing actually. How to flexible work remotely from your high performance computer. Because as we all noticed since the pandemic in 2020, 2021, a lot of people or a lot of you guys as well as myself, we started to work from home or we started to work in a different place that is not our main workplace at the office or at your company. And for some power users or for some people that used to have a very powerful computer at their desks, it was not anymore so flexible just to work in this computer anymore. And another solutions came by like virtualization, remote desktops, Microsoft Azure or remote. Microsoft started to offer a lot of services like this, Amazon Web Services as this, and a lot of companies starting to just offer a lot of service in order to remote to work remotely in some kind of high performance computers. But to be honest, it was never the same experience, and there were a lot of services as well started to just pop up. Like for example, Parsec. Parsec is a very well-known software that gives you really full performance when connecting to, for example, like gaming computers or workstations to make 3D modeling or rendering. And those kind of services, they have one thing in common. And together with very complex company infrastructure like Citrix, VMware, or NVIDIA virtual desktop infrastructure and NVIDIA remote workstations, the thing that they have in common is that they are not free, they cost, and usually they are made for infrastructure that are really quite heavy and complex. And from the other side, some things like Microsoft or Amazon Web Service, that they are easy to use, they can go really expensive if you really demand high performance hardware or maybe like GPU rendering or many cores. And in the other side, software like Parsec, that they are actually free for private persons, works actually good, very good. But if you really want to step up a little bit the features that you get from this remote working, it's always getting to a paid subscription or something like that, and it's not really scalable, to be honest. And what I was working before, because I was not really happy with this, is like trying to get a solution with things that are already there. And the most common thing that is, I don't know, like maybe 20 years or something, 15 years included in every Windows computer that you have used since like a decade or something, maybe more, is remote desktop services or remote desktop connection or the remote desktop protocol. It's installed in every computer. Is if you have Windows Pro, not home, then it's installed in every computer. But to be honest, any computer has this feature, and it's free, it is always there, and you just need to literally be in the same network as the host computer or as the target computer that you want to connect, and then you just connect to it and you have a full desktop experience based on the computer that is already there. This can be a workstation at your workplace, this can be another laptop, maybe this can be a virtual server, for example. But the idea behind remote desktop connection is that you have the full desktop experience at your hand, and then you can use a very simple laptop, or maybe like something like I don't know, like a 300 euros laptop from 5 years old, 6 years old, and you could still get the full Windows experience connection via remotely. The only thing that doesn't work really that good is the performance. If you want to scale the performance of the connection in order to use it for more complex tasks like 3D modeling, for example, which is my case, or maybe like rendering or the use of Blender or Rhinoceros or SolidWorks, or just maybe doing some simulations like mechanical simulations or using some programs like MATLAB, Visual Studio Code, and you need the performance and you don't have the performance locally, then you need to have a rich experience, like a multimedia rich experience in the host computer, in the touch computer. And this was always a problem because you could always connect remotely using RDP, but the performance was not the best. And I started working in this a few years ago, and I think I finally have something that is really has value, that it has value to share with you. And it's going to be pretty quick, and I'm going to use here my HB Book Studio. The nice thing about this is that it has a full HD plus 60 by tape panel, which affects a lot the connection. We're going to talk about this in a moment. But yeah, this is a full HD plus panel, and I'm going to be using this to remotely connect to my workstation that is here in my place. But I already tried so many different scenarios using remote connections, actually via VPNs as well and everything, and it works incredibly great, the performance. So what you are going to do, for example, is just go to your Windows and then activate the remote desktop connection. You're going to see it here in my computer. You just go to remote desktop connection, and then you just type in the server address or the host machine address. It can be also an alias. For example, if you have a name in your computer, or your company assigned names as alias to the client device. As I just mentioned, you just go to the RDP software, and then you just type in the address. In my case, and then you just type in connect, and then it's going to ask, like, of course, like for credential, you need access, of course, to the target machine. In my case, I'm just going to type them in, and then automatically you have the remote desktop connection access. As you can see here, it changed. I'm now connected to my machine. This is my machine, and if I go to here, then I'm in the machine inside. And the nice thing is that, for example, you can check that in this case, in my target machine, my remote machine, I have a very powerful Intel Core i9 CPU, as well as a very nice NVIDIA graphics card. I have a lot of memory RAM, and those such things probably you don't have locally in your computer or in your notebook or in the computer provided from your from your work. So that's one of the main reasons why you actually want to make remote desktop, just to get a different kind of features from a different kind of machine. Maybe there are software installed there that there is no installed in your local computer, something like maybe or maybe like DaVinci Resolve to edit video, SolidWorks, I don't know, yeah? But the trick is, like, you will say now, Jorge, we know this like from 15 years. You are showing us nothing new. The thing is that in order to make this experience a little bit better, or actually much better, there are some configurations that you can tweak in the Windows group policies. And they are going to really enhance the performance and the experience that you are getting from the remote desktop connection. So in order to activate this, you are going to go to the group policies in the host machine, in the target machine, in the remote machine, to be clear. And then you are going to open the group policy editor. We are going to travel to administrative templates, Windows components, and then here we are going to look for remote desktop services. Once in the remote desktop services, there are 3 folders. The one that is really interesting for every of us is the remote desktop session host. This is going to be very important. In this one, there is another folder which has actually the whole trick, which is remote session environment. Remote session environment is where we are going to tweak all the configurations. Here, and maybe you can take maybe a screenshot from this, because this is the most important thing of the video, and this is the most important thing of the whole feature, which is going to be the configuration that we enable in the target machine, in the remote machine. And actually very simple. You can just take a screenshot from this, and then it's going to be work. One thing that we need to make sure before following this tutorial after is that my target machine, as I just mentioned before, my remote machine has an NVIDIA GPU. An NVIDIA GPU translates into a dedicated graphic accelerator. This graphic accelerator is very important for the whole trick actually to work, because we are going to encode and decode the stream via the network, and this encoding and decoding is going to take part actually in the graphics accelerator. You don't need to have an NVIDIA GPU. It actually also works with AMD graphics cards, and it actually works as well with integrated Intel GPUs. Like above all of them, they need to codec H.264, which I think, to be honest, like since 6 years, most of the integrated Intel GPUs have H.264 decoding and encoding capabilities. So should be actually no problem for the remote machine. But this is very important because remote servers, like servers that your company usually use to work with them, virtual machines, they usually do not have dedicated graphics accelerators. And that's why usually in most of the companies or in most of your offices, when using virtualization, some kind of features they don't work, and even if you are able to connect remotely to the virtual machines, you don't get the full performance. So in order to proceed, you need to activate the just to improve a little bit the experience, to be honest, just remove the wallpaper, which to be honest makes a lot of difference, because all of these rich features that enhance the visual experience of Windows clients, of Windows machines, you don't need. Yeah? But the main feature that you need to activate is this one. Use hardware graphics adapters for all remote desktop services session. This is very important. You just click on it and it should be enabled. The second one, what I like to install as well or to configure as well, is the limit maximum display resolution. This is not mandatory, but we need to be clear as well, and this is as well a disclaimer for this video. H.264 and hardware encoding capabilities that are implemented in the remote desktop protocol, they have unfortunately some kind of limits regarding up to what resolution values they can decode and encode properly and transfer it via stream via the network. If you go very high in the resolutions, or like if your client local machine has a really high resolution monitor, like 4K monitor, the stream is going to be as well very laggy. It's not because the computer, the remote computer cannot encode it or decode it, it's because the protocol actually cannot really handle those high resolution to decode and encode. So I always recommend, and this is a very important recommendation that really you need to follow, use the lowest resolution possible in the local machine that you are using. I really recommend Full HD, which is 1080p, Full HD Plus, which is 1200p, and 1440p. Up to 1440p, I test a lot of machines and a lot of monitors, and it works perfect. Just the experience is great. It's like you be sitting there in front of the remote machine. So that's why I try to limit the display, but it's not a must. You just need to use a proper monitor in the local side. After that, which is also very, very important, is use advanced remote effects graphics per remote app. Just go there and enable it. Then prioritize H.264 ABC4 for graphics mode for remote desktop connection. This is this one. This is also a must. You need to enable this. And then as well, you need to enable the hardware encoding. Hardware encoding is going to make the trick as well. Those two options actually, they are the most important because they tell the remote desktop host that he now is able to use the graphics hardware accelerator to stream, to decode and encode the stream, which is very important. And then I always like to compress the remote effects data. And in my case, and I really test a lot of things, use the optimize to use less network bandwidth, just like that. Optimizes to use less network bandwidth. The quality actually is not going to be degraded for this. And then configure the image quality for remote effects adaptive graphics. This needs to be enabled as well. And in my case, I always use medium. Then enable remote effects encoding for remote effects clients designed for Windows Server and 2008. This needs to be as well enabled. And the last one is going to be configure remote effects adaptive graphics, which is actually very important. And I just configure the RDP experience as optimized for minimum bandwidth usage. You have other options, but optimizing for minimum bandwidth usage is the best one that works, and at least in performance mode. And that's it, actually. That's it. Those are the configurations that I personally like to enable, and it works perfect. As I can show you, for example, maybe we can open SolidWorks as well. Here, I'm just going to use like a Word document. I hope you can see as well that when you do like PowerPoints, everything is fluent, very fluent. And don't think that I have like a really exaggerated access points or connection at my place. I actually have just the router that was included with my internet provider, which is actually, it's not even a Fritzbox or something like that. It's really a cheap telecom router, and I just have a connection of 100 megabits per second. My Wi-Fi is, my router is behind the TV. It's nothing really complex or something like that. It's really like a normal local connection that I'm showing you here. But I tried this in very complex environments with very complex situations via VPN, and works exactly the same. And I've been working on this years already, and it works perfect actually. And as you can see here, I mean, you can just open things, and it's everything like you being there. You can type in, you can do stuff, everything works normal. You can go as well to your email, check some stuff, and nothing is going to be different. Like literally, you are going to be there. Now I'm opening a 3D model just to show you that it works as well. I can open as well DaVinci Resolve just to show you some more things how it works. And for example, now is this my like a library of scientific papers that I used to read, or that I read, and everything's worked great. I mean, it's like I've been in the computer. And of course, the nice thing for you guys, important, is as well gaming situations. You can totally do gaming via remote, because you can as well stream 60 frames per second. And if you stream 60 frames per second, and if you have a local device that gets up to 60 frames per second, it's a really good experience, to be honest. I mean, for gaming, maybe there is a little bit of lag, but it's a really incredible experience. Believe me, it's a really good experience. But just as a disclaimer as well, I didn't make this for gaming. There are better solutions for gaming. I made this for 3D modeling, for simulations, for rendering, for like scientific, for creative work in the remote machine. Even video editing with DaVinci Resolve works actually great. And we can try as well some games if you want. But for example, here is now my SolidWorks. This is a very complex part, even if you don't think so. It's like I don't know, like 1 gigabyte document from the human spine, and everything is working, everything is activated. And the nice thing about it is that because we are literally grabbing, or we are literally talking to the machine as it is the machine, we have full access to all the features and capabilities that the hardware in the remote machine gives to you. For example, in SolidWorks, because I have a professional NVIDIA RTX graphics card, I have access to the real view graphics, for example. And those are features that usually in virtual machines or virtual environments are not available. And that's why I have the full performance when using remote 3D modeling in SolidWorks. In CATIA is the same, in Blender is the same, in Siemens Graphics is the same, in Inventor is the same. Doesn't matter what kind of software are you using, the performance is going to be like 99% what you get when working locally. And another thing that I want to show you is game, as I just told you. But DaVinci Resolve, for example, now is optimizing the neural engines. And for example, now I'm going to try DaVinci Resolve just to show you that this actually works great. As you can see, I just opened DaVinci Resolve. I'm still working the remote machine, as you can see here. For example, this is my machine, and this is the remote machine. And I would just get to the edit mode, and then you can scroll here. This is an old video project. Maybe there are some files that are missing, as you can see already, but actually works. And the audio works. I hope you can see it. I mean, I can show you as well here.
The black levels of this display.
Of course, if you are doing like really heavy work with video editing, you have as well to take account into the bit of lag that there is, for example, from moving your lips and moving your mouth or speaking, and what you are seeing via the remote. But to be honest, it's workable. It's very workable, to be honest. And even if you use Parsec software or really expensive software that offer you a solution, it's going to be almost the same, to be honest. And it's working. And the nice thing is, like, Jorge, how can I notice that it is working actually, that it's doing something that the things that you told me? Is because if you go here to the task manager, I'm just to show you here that I have open as well. If you go to the task manager, you can see in the processes that there is a process that is called remote desktop services. And the remote desktop services is in fact using actually the GPU. If I do something maybe like watching one of my videos here in YouTube, and I just muted it, you can see that the remote desktop services is using the GPU, and this is actually the magic in behind, because it is encoding, it is decoding the stream of the remote desktop connection, but in the remote machine is doing his job as usually, as normal, like a hardware accelerator for the machine. And here I'm streaming a YouTube video, which the quality is actually also good, and you can scroll, you can do everything, and you actually, if you work like remote like this, you will notice almost no difference. And you can also do the same in the background. I have SolidWorks. I just open up bike models that I just found in the internet, and I don't know if you can see this, but it works perfect. It works perfect, and you get access to all the capabilities of this high performance machine, as I just told you. You can literally do work here, even if you are if you work with one of the complex CAD modeling software in the industry, in the world actually, and it works great. You can use as well CATIA. For example, CATIA is the same, and it works, and the streaming works good. I mean, really good. It just works, and I'm very excited because of this. And I will just leave everything open, and I will just play a game. In my case, I'm just using Horizon Forbidden West. So just you can see as well, it is going to be set. Probably this open remotely. No, actually, it is there. I have only a 1200p monitor, as I just told you before, and it's going to grab, and it's grabbing actually the remote machine. I will just set everything to very high and then just play. And just like that, you have access to the game. Of course, you can also use Steam streaming for your local network, but imagine that you are not something like that you are not just at home playing games. As I just told before, I didn't make this thinking on playing games. I did make this thinking on working in CAD modeling software, in 3D modeling software, in simulation software. And that was actually my main idea in behind. For games, as I just mentioned, it's not the best solution, because for games you really need a fluent image, like really fast fluent image in order to your eyes to enjoy the game. And for more static scenarios like 3D modeling, like video editing, maybe it's not a problem. But, and as I just mentioned, it works good. Of course, there is lag and everything, but if there is no other option for you, you can always play. And you need to imagine this, that this is just going to be better depending on the hardware that you have, and this is just going to be probably better in the future. But yeah, for games, makes sense also, but maybe it's not the best solution, as I just told you out there. There are better things like Parsec, and yeah. So guys, just to recap for today, the most important thing of this configuration is that you activate the following settings on the group policy editor of your Windows remote machine, and actually that's all. You just need to be sure that your local computer or the local device that you are using is based on Windows Pro, at least that has the RTP connection, and that you have as well in the local side, of course, an integrated graphics card in order to decode the image that you are getting from the RTP connection. So guys, I really hope this is informative for you. I really made a lot of tests, a lot of configuration with these different machines, different GPUs, different CPUs, old CPUs, new CPUs, laptops, tablets. Is that also a nice thing is that it works also with MacBooks. You can also use an Apple computer. Probably I forgot to mention it, but you can also an Apple computer in order to RDP to the Windows machine remote, and it's just going to work as well very great. It's not going to be that good like in Windows using Windows RDP protocol, but it's going to be also very cool. And in Apple computers, you just need to download the remote desktop app from Windows as well. You can find it in the App Store or the beta as well in the internet. And in Linux devices, if you use, for example, Ubuntu, there is a RDP software that is already installed in default in Ubuntu, which is called Remina, and works perfect. You just need to activate the UDP protocol, and it works as well, probably better than in Windows, using a Windows client local machine. And that's all. This is a really incredible piece of configuration, piece of software that I really want to share with you. I'm very satisfied with the results, really satisfied to a point in that I can say as an engineer, I can fully work remotely using a 6-year-old i5 laptop with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Like totally fine. It's not at all a problem. And if I am satisfied with this, I just hope that this information is also valuable for you, or maybe for your company. If you are an IT personnel at your company, maybe you can implement as well something like this. But I'm very satisfied with the performance, and I hope you found valuable information in this video. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I wanted to make this video as short as possible, but at the end I really want to share with you as well enough information just to make a little bit more fun this video and more valuable. And probably when I have news or when I have something to improve in these technologies and techniques, I'm going to share them with you. But for now, that's all. So guys, that's how you connect remote desktop connection with full performance to a remote machine. And I personally, as I told you, for 3D modeling is one of the best things that I have made in my IT for engineers career, because it just works. It just gives you a lot of flexibility, and you're not bounded to a machine that you cannot travel with and you cannot move with, which I think is very valuable in these days, just to have work flexibility. Guys, again, thank you very much for being here. I have great news probably for the next videos. I'm just waiting for the end of my PhD. Probably I'm going to be done in a few months already. It's already the end of the chapter of my PhD, and as soon as I have news as well in that fact of becoming a doctor in engineering here in Germany, I'm going to share them as well with you. And for now, thank you again, and see you until the next time.